now we have a one-time segment that we did not want to put at the. It's big news, but we didn't want to do it at the beginning of the podcast to Debbie Downer ourselves for the night. We can't have an episode this week without addressing the tragedy of Kobe Bryant and his daughter and 7 other people that died in a helicopter crash.
Yeah, this is gonna be. I'm not gonna say I'm not going to talk in this segment, but I feel like I'm gonna yield more of my time to you guys because while I know of Kobe Bryant because he was. I mean, he's one of the most legendary characters. He was a character, players in the league, and he was one of those guys that transcended the sport. And there's the way in my personal view of it, he's he's up there with Michael Jordan, and I would say LeBron's up there too. But like those 3 guys are what I always think of when I think of basketball, and it's sad that I didn't see this side of him until after he had passed, where I didn't even know that there was this whole other guy outside of basketball and his approach to life. And the thing that got me was they played this. This was on Twitter a lot, but there was a clip that he said I think it was a basketball camp, and they're like, what's your biggest advice? And he said to have fun. Because life is too short to be bogged down by this. And every day, just take one step forward. And that kind of approach is something that I really admire. Even as someone at that point in his life that had that stuff and that status to be able to. And the way that he talked about his daughter is just, it's just awful. It's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah.
It is. It really is. There's so much that goes into Kobe. This is something I didn't put down here. He's in a club of 1. He is an NBA MVP, an Olympic gold medalist, and the winner of an Academy Award. No one else has done those things. He is in a club of 1 when it comes to his mentality and level of commitment to whatever he decides he's going to do. And that is why he got done each of those things. His love of basketball. And I think it was the aspect of, wow, we've never really heard Kobe talk with emotion like that. It was kind of what won him his Oscar. But you've seen a lot more of that. He's not the killer after retirement. He went down from a 10 to a 9. Where he was a little more laid back with everything. And we did get to see a new side of Kobe, especially me as a Celtics fan. He's
ripped your heart out.
He's immortal, but in a way where, I'm a Packer fan, and the Packers wouldn't be who they are without the Bears franchise, right, Brandon? There is something to that.
Mm-hmm.
It is the duality, the yin and yang of a rivalry. And Kobe gave that to anybody who wanted it. If you wanted to hate Kobe, he made it so easy. He made it so easy.
Well, that's the thing, too, is he was so polarizing because of, when you're one of the greatest to play the sport that you're in, you're going to be polarizing whether you want to be or not. And, you could probably argue with some people, but, yeah, just... And that's the thing that's so crazy about all this is he was 41, and when he retired, he was in the league. He started at 17.
Yeah,
he was in the league 20 years, which is nuts, and with one team, which is just unbelievable. But I was watching some things. Of course, I saw the Jimmy Kimmel clip about Gigi, and there was a comment on there that I was like, man, that really hits home. Someone said he died doing what he loved, and that was being a dad.
A girl dad.
And I was like, oh, that's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. Yeah. This is getting to me more than I thought it would. I thought you'd be the one cracking, but I'm over here back in.
Well, it's an emotional topic. Brandon, what did you feel this weekend when you first heard the news?
I mean, I was eating dinner with my family. It was my brother's birthday Sunday, and I was eating dinner, and then I got your guys' text messages, and the notifications came in because I was really confused by what you guys were saying. You don't expect stuff like that to happen to anybody, let alone somebody that you picture guys like that as immortal. You really do.
He seemed like Hercules.
Yeah.
He really was one of those guys.
Guys that are just they seem untouchable. When stuff like that happens to them, it really makes you think about everything in your own life.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part, and also the good part about it too. There's not, but it really makes you think and try not to take stuff for granted that you used to when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, but it's a time that allows us to reflect on a career with a lot of incredible moments, on and off the court that made him a legend. And we say he's immortal, and I said he's like Hercules because there's a big difference between a 3-year guy that leaves the NBA. You hear about Glenn Davis with drugs in his hotel room. You hear about Lamar Odom ODing in a brothel.
That was kind of the formation of the show. That was when we first started creating the show. That story.
But there's a different level to somebody like Kobe.
Mm.
This is Dale Earnhardt news, where you say no, not that guy. That was somebody else.
Did you guys do what I did when you first saw it? Did you check like multiple sources and being like, this can't be real?
Yeah. Well, what I did was it was TMZ.
Yeah.
The first reported,
which is why I was like, wait a minute.
When you see the TMZ font, you're like, oh, okay, all right, let me check something else here.
But
There's ESPN. So what I did was I was working at Olive Garden, and I heard from another coworker that TMZ just put that out. And so I pull out my phone, and I can't make this up. I pull out my phone, and the second that I pull it up, it's buzzing as I'm grabbing it in my pocket. And I look at my phone, and there's 5 or 6, emails, notifications from whatever, because I've been at work for a few hours. But the one at the very top that buzzed, I look at the clock on my phone. It says 1:52, and the top tweet from Adrian Wojnarowski at 1:52 says, "Kobe Bryant, it confirmed in helicopter crash." And that was before we knew anything else still. But that was where I was like, this is actually real.
Yeah. No, yeah, because I saw and it was one of the weird. It was like a split second. I saw something that said like, Kobe dead, and I didn't even think about it. I just saw a notification. I was just like swiping, and then I got the Bleacher Report notification. I was like, wait, what? And then I looked at that, and then I just kept going through Twitter. I was like, that's nuts. And then I texted you guys because I was like,
you and I texted at the same moment. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and I thought I misread your text.
I was responding to my own text.
No, yeah,
we both sent 2 texts within a minute.
I thought you were calling me out, and I was like, I'm not saying it's a joke. I'm like, because I was like, holy beep, Kobe's dead, and you said Kobe is dead. It's not a joke, and I was like, what are you calling me out for? I didn't say. I was like, I'm not joking. I'm just saying I'm shocked, but. Yeah, that was nuts. And it was also, and that's just what's so funny about this is like, of course I text you guys first because we do this, you're the guys I talk to about sports all the time. So I was like, first thing I was like, Kobe's dead. What's happening? And yeah, there's people that were on Twitter like, no, he's not dead. Like, there's no like a day or so after, like people are still, and I didn't expect this kind of reaction. To I guess maybe I was just naive about his celebrity, but I'm just really surprised. And it's not just sports people; it's everybody is talking about this.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's affected by this, and it's crazy.
China, just think of the NBA's global outreach and how people are affected internationally by this. But in LA, it happened Sunday. That night is the Grammys. In the Staples Center.
Yeah.
And there were officials tweeting, please do not gather at the Staples Center. There's crowds here already. Please do not come to the Staples Center. We are trying to have a red carpet and get ready for the Grammys. And the tweet that I saw, that just some things is just like, and the tweet said, "That's Kobe's house. The Grammys can wait."
Right.
And the they're not gonna wait, but it kind of showed, let's weigh our importance of things here. And there's been people outside the Staples Center for almost a week now, almost constantly.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Did you guys see that? Maybe it was you who liked it or somehow. I saw it.
I put a lot of stuff on.
Yeah, you've been. Well, that's what I was saying. I was like, I thought
kind of polluted Twitter.
I thought that's why I thought you were gonna get be emotional, because it seems like it's really been affecting you. Just on your tweets, because usually his sports related tweets are usually you trash talking. But
yeah, it's either predictions or like tongue in cheek, whatever.
Yeah. But I saw. Now I lost my train of thought. There's a lot going through my mind right now. I'd seen your tweets, and we'll have to come back to it, because it just slipped my mind. It went right there.
I tweeted a lot of stuff, like how they should change the logo.
I don't agree with that.
Well, why not?
We gotta let that. We gotta let this.
This is not Jerry West's NBA anymore, though.
I know, but we have to give this some time. I think we're
Honestly,
all victims of the moment.
Yeah, I agree. There's been a lot of stuff about retiring Kobe's number league wide and doing all this stuff. I mean, yeah, he was a great player, but you don't do that for just because someone passed away doesn't mean you shut down everything.
Well, it's a legend of sport. They did for Jackie Robinson, and I get that he's
the only person.
Barrier.
That's the only person in professional sports.
Yeah, I feel like it's a different level of significance. But
Kobe's not Jackie Robinson.
I understand, and you're right.
So okay,
but
there are people.
You're seeing a lot of players choose to do
no, and that's fine. Fine, their own people can do that, because Kobe Bryant, the age of the NBA right now, Kobe Bryant, when he
built these guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
you watch DeRozan and you see Kobe.
These guys in the
Booker,
NBA now,
you see Kobe.
Were 16 years old when Kobe Bryant was Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Like, number 8 Kobe Bryant winning championships.
You can listen to interviews with DeMar DeRozan where he's like, I'm from LA. I watched every Kobe game. Like, everything he does is modeled off of Kobe.
It means more to guys between the ages of 20, 25 and 30 than it does to anybody else. And that's this NBA right now. That's who it means the most to. And that's why I think doing something like that, although great sentiment, is kind of an overreaction.
There were all the teams taking the 24-second, 8-second violations, which were...
Yeah.
And that's
what
great.
a coincidence that
and that's
those
great.
are the two number violations.
Definitely.
Did you see even WWE, because the Royal Rumble was Sunday, and even they did a tribute to Kobe.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's crazy that it went that far. But I found when I lost my train of thought about. ESPN2 went 4 hours without a commercial break on Sunday.
Is that for real?
That's what I'd seen. I don't know if that's true. I didn't watch it, but I had seen multiple people talking about how they took 4 hours without a commercial break when they found out about it, which is insane. Somebody that works in broadcasting.
Yeah, and in news, I've had to dump commercials, and it's like, you are really nervous, and you say, "Are you double and triple? Are you sure? Are you sure we're good to do this? Are you sure?" And that's only for tornadoes and things like that. But there was a lot of misinformation out on Sunday. One of the things was that Rick Fox was on the helicopter, which Ice Cube. Well, not Ice Cube, but Charles Barkley said he immediately texted Rick Fox and debunked that. But Ice Cube said he texted Kobe when he heard the news because he didn't want to believe it and he wanted to get a text back, and he never did. And that was a really sad one. When you see one of the most legendary, never smiling, unbreakable, hard dudes just really get emotional about this, it really shows you how much he meant to people.
Especially the thing that really got to me was Shaq's.
Oh, the inside the NBA. Yeah.
Last night that was because they were just fighting with each other. What, a month ago?
Yeah, they did. They had
stuff
another
like
little
that. They're one of those.
thing.
They're one of those two guys
They
that
have a
just
weird relationship.
one of those guys
had a
that
weird
they just
relationship.
butt heads and they really love each other.
But that's the thing.
At the end of the day, I know my personality does not work in a room with your personality, and I respect everything that makes you you. And we have to do our own
because it's the same thing that makes me me.
Absolutely,
Yep,
and
they're
that's
they're
really
bred from the same.
That's the
one.
funny thing too, because Shaq, all the fighting, he was there the last game. He was high fiving him in the last game, and he was telling him that I can't, confirm or deny that they did go 4 hours of commercial break. But that was what some people had said. I didn't watch it, but I want to circle back a little bit to the logo thing. My only issue with that is, if we do it there, what about Michael Jordan? Because Michael Jordan was a generational player.
I was actually, when we started that logo talk, I was going to say, if we change the logo now, it should be Steph Curry taking a 3. That is the NBA today.
You can't do the jump man.
He changed the league.
I personally would have said the jump man, but you really can't.
You
do
can't.
it because it's copyright.
It's already worth $1 billion. You
Yeah.
can't use the jump man. I mean, Michael might want you to, but you'd
No,
have
he
to
would
pay
love
him
the money.
way too much. Yeah.
But
I wonder
I-
how much the Hornets pay for having a jump man. Is it just the Hornets that have a jump man instead of Nike swoosh on their jerseys?
I think so. How much does he get from like Oklahoma and Michigan, and because they have the jump
The
man?
colleges that do jump man. Yeah, I don't know if that's through Nike or I don't know how
They
that
even have it
works.
on their football, which is weird.
Right.
Yeah, but I was just wondering about that, and then you brought up some things when we were kind of going over what we were going to talk about. And I didn't know about him jumping over. And I watched a lot of Jackass.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember him jumping over a pool full of snakes.
Yeah, see, I wanted to include the moments that made us view him as the one name Kobe.
outside of basketball.
What made Kobe the guy that made us feel this way on Sunday?
There's only a few guys in sports history that you know by one name.
right, and we lost another one recently with Ali.
Yep.
This exact thing, it wasn't as sudden, and ESPN was ready with their tribute video and eulogy and everything, but a generational talent
Yep.
that people grew up defining their success by,
When you say
I
that
can do it
one
because
name.
he can do it,
Yep.
and Kobe did that. But the Jackass thing was really funny because they're not black mambas. They're like aggressive snakes because they put their hand. It's like a 4 foot tall inflated kiddie pool that's filled like with water moccasins or something. And he runs his hand in it, and then they snap, and like 3 of them like snap at him, and so they're aggressive snakes. And he has to run and jump over the kiddie pool and dunk a ball. And he does it. But the cooler one to me, and the one that I seriously, growing up, I thought this was a fake video, is him jumping over the Aston Martin car. Brandon, you know which one I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I watched it too before
Yeah.
the show.
It's one of those videos where it was one of those videos when the internet was first.
Right? Yeah.
It was in the stages
was
of where
early
you can't
YouTube.
tell if things are real or fake. Like when the NFL.
It was a shoe commercial, wasn't it? He was trying to show
Yeah.
off his new Kobe's.
And it was like those old NFL pick me for your fantasy team. Here's why commercials. You remember that? Where like it was somebody, it was like Greg Olson or somebody saying go and punching his hands through drywall to catch a ball on the other side, or Mason Crosby kicking a ball saying they hate when I do this, and he kicks the ball 3 times. He kicks 3 footballs in a row, and it
Yeah.
rings the bell in the courthouse 3 times. And you think to yourself, is that real or did they fake that? That's what I thought of that Kobe video, because it was so unreal that he could do that, and the danger of having a speeding Aston Martin coming straight at you, and he does his quick feet and then he goes, and it just shows his ice cold, mentality with everything.
But that Aston Martin video was so good, and then because the fact that it's just a shoe commercial, because he shows off the shoe, jumps over it, he's like, "That's what I'm talking. These Kobe's, you could jump over a car like that. Don't try it at home." And I was just like, "What?" Also, it's an Aston Martin. I'm not that impressed. Okay, if it were like an SUV, it'd be more. No, I'm kidding.
The aughts were a fun time for sports commercials. Between those, the Puppet LeBrons, the This Is Sports Center.
Are you talking about the Sprite,
Yeah.
the claymation ones, weren't they?
No, there were puppet ones.
I thought they were claymation.
There were a lot of great like NBA. There was a This Is Sports Center commercial with Kobe and Keyshawn Johnson getting trained by Stuart Scott how to answer media questions. And they're just great videos, but he did a lot of great things on the court too.
Which one
do we have here?
Who was? I don't know if it might be on here, but who was it who checked the ball at him and it didn't flinch?
That's the Matt Barnes play. Yeah.
Man, trying to punk Kobe, and Kobe just like,
and he's just.
It's just kind of like, okay.
And there's another video just like that where there's this funny video of Chris Rock sitting courtside at an NBA game, and the first thing you see Chris Rock like talking to somebody beside him off screen, like kind of looking at him, kind of grinning, kind of just talking. You can't really tell because he's looking kind of forward. You can't tell if he's talking to himself or anything. And then 2 seats over from him is a sweating Kobe Bryant during a timeout, just panting, eyes forward, and it's like he doesn't even know Chris Rock is sitting next to him.
He's probably used to it in LA, but
yeah, but the Matt Barnes play, you got to get to a point in a game where because Kobe's shuffling feet, and Matt Barnes is the kind of guy to talk and shove, and so I wonder what had happened earlier in that game to give them both that, oh, what's up, attitude at that exact moment.
I just and that's where I guess that Mamba mentality, that ice cold. That doesn't even affect him.
It's robotic. It's not human. A normal person blinks.
Right. Any other person flinches or moves.
Blink.
You're defending yourself. You're like, whoa. But Kobe's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna let this guy punk me out.
Hit me with it. It's our ball.
I'm gonna look cool as hell on national TV.
I'll look good, bro. It's our ball. And he just had so many things. Another off-court moment. I did put this on here. So a few months ago, there was at a bigger intersection in LA, there was a multi-car accident, and this video emerged of this 6'7" dude in a white tracksuit out there directing traffic between broken cars because he was there when it happened. Kobe Bryant went and checked on people and then directed traffic until authorities showed up, and that's not the killer mentality, the gritty face. Another thing I put on here was when Lakers practice, when the lean years of the Lakers, there's a video of one of their practices where he just destroys people and he yells at the GM, "We need to get some new players. No, these motherfuckers can guard me. Gotta get some new guys up in here." Yeah, he just goes off on his own team.
Yeah,
and then
you kind of feel bad for him because this is the last few years in the NBA.
But that's him taking it from a 10 to a 9, where maybe we just didn't see that Kobe when he was a player. But it's an incredibly deep, incredibly caring guy that we'd seen over the past few years. But then the flip side of it, back to the lean years of the Lakers, another moment I love. This is the ultimate Kobe moment to me. He's injured. He's not playing. He's on Kimmel. And Kimmel says, so Lakers, you guys had lost 6 straight and you won a game last night. And here's what the guy's reaction was. And it's Carlos Boozer, Jordan Clarkson, and Nick Young going like, "Yeah, baby, we in this, what up?" Like during their post-game interview. It's one guy's post-game interview and the other one's coming. We're like, "Yeah, what's good?" And then it goes back to Kimmel and Kobe. And Kobe is staring straight into the camera with just these eyes of a disappointed parent. And he starts slowly shaking his head, just looking straight into the camera like, "Y'all are some scrubs." like just wait till I get back in that gym. Just wait till I get back,
Well, that's I guess that while those teams weren't the while those teams weren't the best, that's where he talk about where he really became the mentor father figure type. And you kind of see that with LeBron right now with the team that he has, but yeah, that's something that I didn't even really appreciate or think about until all this stuff comes out. But I think it would be I didn't want to talk about Gigi and that whole scenario because that was one of those things. I know I got to make it sad again, But it was one of those moments where it became it was kind of a meme but it was also extremely relatable. And now I've had that experience. You know, I'm sure all three of us have had this experience that Gigi had, where they're watching a basketball game and he's explaining things to her, he's analyzing it, and then you see her talk back, and then you see him have that like proud.
You got it, yeah.
Yeah, that proud parent moment. Like she's putting it together. She understands what's going on.
It's one of my favorite videos on the internet right now.
And I've had those moments with my dad watching football, or things like that. Like maybe not just sports, but just I've had those moments where I've been her, and that cool moment where you get to see a proud parent. And I truly think she would have been a star in the WNBA. And I think her and him, because she wanted to do that.
She seemed like someone with the focus of this. This is just my life. What my life is gonna do. I mean, this is what's gonna happen for me.
You're the daughter of Kobe Bryant. I mean, it's almost like
But she didn't sit with that though.
Yeah, she was trying to forge her own path.
She's from everything that you see, she looked like an incredibly motivated, hardworking young individual that was very careful about her game. And you can see videos of some of her games where she has moves like Kobe, where she does a stutter step and then twists and backs you down and turns around for a fadeaway, and you're like, that's a horrible shot for a 12-year-old to take, but she hits it because that's all she does at home because it's all she's seen her dad do. Or there's things like Kobe took her to two Hawks games this year because she said Trae Young's her favorite player right now. A relationship like that is what they had, where she said, this is what I want to do in my life, and that's who I like right now that's doing it. And he said, we're going right now, and I'll introduce you.
Kobe Bryant didn't watch NBA for like 2 or 3 years until Gigi said she wanted to watch games, and so then they started watching every single game, every single night.
And then they're at games.
Yeah, and then now that exactly like Kobe didn't watch the NBA for like 2 or 3 years.
And on Wednesday night, the Nets
played.
Why
would you? You were in the league 20 years. Why would you?
And the Nets had 2 empty courtside seats. And it was those seats for that video, Jake.
Yeah.
Because they were at a Nets game. And they kept those open tonight because of how important that video is and how, everybody's even with my little brother, I've had moments like that where we've been watching Packer games. And just this year, he figures out and remembers what the yellow line means. Yeah, that's right. He says, "Oh, it's the 4th down." So and he announces that now I've learned what that means. Aren't you proud? And you see
it's just
that
that shared interest and having someone piece together that shared interest with you. It's when you teach anybody anything, you have that moment of like, yes, you're getting it, you're figuring it out, you understand it, and yeah, it's unfortunate and. All this is just so tragic.
He did seem like he was going to be around the league for another 40 years as just one of those, guys in the shadows that you dap up and says you did good tonight, that you're like, oh, wow.
Could you imagine, if you will, this scenario that could have happened if he would have... Now, I don't know if he would have coached. He probably isn't the coaching type.
Lord, no.
But I'm just saying, what if he coached Gigi in WNBA? That would have been an interesting storyline.
That is an interesting scenario. I hadn't thought of that. He does. Maybe he would,
but he's not really the coach type.
He's not really the coach type. But with how he has, I'm not going to say mellowed, but how he's presented himself.
Well, he was coaching. That's where they were going. Was his best?
Is he a coach? Because I know one of the coaches of her team was also on the plane. So I don't know.
Yeah,
was he their head coach?
I don't know for sure. But
I don't think
the other guy was a baseball coach.
Right,
yeah.
But there's a female coach on the plane.
I just don't think. I guess I don't think he would have coached at that level. I guess
not in
high school or something like that. Yeah, that would make sense.
No, now you're thinking Eli Manning is the guy that's going to have a really fun career of being a high school quarterback coach.
Kobe Bryant doesn't have enough time to coach.
No, he's busy getting Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. He was doing bigger and better things.
He has so many things that he was just starting his second career. He really had.
Oh yeah, he was the mogul. He was at the mogul part.
He had so many things lined up that he was excited to invest himself in, and you really felt that. Even if he didn't watch the NBA for a few years, Kobe's not sitting around at home drinking a beer saying I could do that better than they could, like Kendrick Perkins does every day. This is a not Kendrick friendly podcast anymore.
Baylor and Kendrick, you're not allowed.
No.
Kendrick Lamar is allowed.
Yes, Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins,
no.
Can't think of any other famous Kendrick.
Anna.
Oh, Anna Kendrick. Yeah,
Anna Kendrick, very allowed.
She is allowed, yeah.
She's very allowed.
We can't afford to push people away here
Yeah.
on this podcast.
You know, there's just so many things to talk about.
When it comes
to Kobe
you know what's
as
funny is I was looking at the clock as we're recording, and it was almost like perfectly timed out that once we hit an hour mark, that's when we started talking about Kobe, and we've been talking about Kobe for 35 minutes. And we could probably talk longer. I mean, we could probably do a whole nother podcast about
We got to respect the numbers, you know. We've been talking about everything that made Kobe Kobe, but there's the definitive things that made Kobe Kobe. He was 4th all-time in points, and that's as of this week. He was 3rd all-time in points. He is still the highest guard point total in NBA history, which, I mean, I think is no laughing matter. The 3 people ahead of him are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, who were 2 of the most unstoppable big men in NBA history. One with a pick and roll who was the size of a Mack truck, and the other one who was 7'2" with a skyhook that nobody could touch. And then there was Kobe, you know, and that's really what he did is he elevated it to himself to a level of people above him in everything he did. Now he's been passed by LeBron.
I was going to say, didn't LeBron just pass him?
Yep, the night before. Saturday night, LeBron passed him. They hugged. Saturday night. He was at the game.
Yeah, I didn't read it. I saw that LeBron released a statement, and I didn't read it because I was just like, I don't know the relationship, but I imagine he probably poured his heart out into it because he lost a friend, and it's horrible. And now I just saw before we started recording, and I'm sure you guys got it too. I got a Bleacher Report about Kobe's wife releasing a statement, and I'm like, I don't want to read that.
I don't need to know what that is.
I don't need to.
That sounds pressure filled about what are you gonna say, and I don't
right.
And she should.
I know
be
she released
peaceful on her own for a week and not have to talk to anybody.
And I know she released it publicly, but that I still feel like that's a private thing that I'm like, I don't need to read it. I don't need to read it. But yeah, it's crazy. Another thing to talk about: 81 points in a game. 81 points, which is still number 2, right? Because wasn't it?
Yeah, Wilt had 100. Yep, and Devin Booker
100
has
points
71.
and 1,000 women.
Booker put up 70.
70 was.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Wow. Damn it! I tried to lighten the mood, and you guys missed it.
What's that?
I said Wilt had 100 points and thousands of women.
10,000, according to him.
That is not physically possible.
You know, I have his book. I haven't read it, but I have his book, and I want to read it to see what he says about his exploits.
I just don't think it's possible. 10,000 seems a little bit much, Wilt.
If they're all ones, you know.
1,000? Maybe like, he's got to be double, tripling it up. There's no way.
Oh, you know he was.
Does he count each encounter? Does it count an orgy? I don't know how this works.
Do you count in? No, we're done.
We're getting out of
this. We're done with this.
I'm trying to lighten the mood. I'm just giving some.
The 81-point game. I get that it was Toronto,
but
still, and a super old Jalen Rose guarding him half the time. But they only won by like 6 points. Like they needed every one of those 81 because that's where he's on a team with that was like. Shannon Brown and Shannon Brown and Kwame Brown and old Vlade Divac, and just they had a bad team there. Those were the years right before Kobe almost demanded a trade, and that's when they got Pau Gasol and really had their resurgence because Kobe had his good years with Shaq, and they said whatever. Went back to the finals, lost. Had some lean years and said, if you can't get anybody here, get me out. And Lakers fans love to forget that Kobe basically gave the team an ultimatum of get another all-star, get me out of here.
He had 5 rings, right?
Correct. Yeah, he had a three-peat.
Three with
Shaq and then 2 with yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of those, 2010 against the Celtics.
Which I got
in 7 games.
Which I got to, we talk. Jordan has 6, right? And LeBron has 4 now. 3. 3. I thought he had 4.
LeBron has 3.
He had
he's
2 with
the
the
8.
He's been to 8. But he's been to 9, but he's won 3.
You would know because he was with the Heat. Part of that. I'm not saying he was a fan.
Speaking of who still is, did you know like the walking mummy. Udonis Haslem is still an
Still
active
there.
Heat player.
Yep.
I saw him. They were
Walking
playing
mummy.
the Celtics, and I was like, "Is that Udonis Haslem? What's he doing in sweats? They don't let assistant coaches wear sweats."
he's
And I
still
look it
on
up.
the
I was like,
team.
"What? Wait, he's a player.
No, he's on the active roster.
He has a ring from the 2006 Heat team. Wow."
Jeez. No, but what I was gonna say with what I was trying to say was with the fact that he has, you can't. I don't really want to say. To have the 3 with Shaq and then have 2 more with someone else, I think is still pretty
I think
good. I
think
mean, Jordan had kind of 2 different teams when he won his 6, but they were for the most part the same.
Yeah, Kobe had 2 dynasties.
I
basically.
think that the 2 late in his career as number 24 are what solidified him as one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Because no one took Kobe. I don't think, besides Laker fans, took Kobe as seriously when he was winning with Shaq in the early 2000s, when the NBA wasn't that great.
Oh yeah.
The NBA is not that great. And
There
you got
needs to be a
Shaq
book
on your team.
The NBA from '98 to like 2006. There needs to be a book on how the NBA almost killed itself in those
so
years.
I think that those 2 in a row in 2009 and 10 are definitely what solidified him as one of the all-time greats.
Right. Brandon, I think you're really right because look at his career arc as a whole. He didn't start right away, but the guy starting over him said, that kid's going to be better than all of us one day. He gets into his first playoff game, puts up 4 air balls, and they're like, what is he doing? Supreme confidence. That's what he has. You know, and he just worked and worked. And then Shaq got there, and they run through 3 titles where Shaq, I mean, basically averages like 33 and 15
Oh yeah,
for 3 finals. Unbelievable.
Could make a free throw though.
unstoppable.
A immovable object where he bumped you, you fell. You know, he peak prime Shaq, and
You
then
make the face he does on Hot Ones when he hits you. Oh.
right, and then they lose in 04, and Shaq leaves, gets traded, kind of by choice, you know, but it is a trade. And then Kobe kind of does, I think, the James Harden thing of, look what I can do when it's my team, and watch me get these numbers. And he did that for a few years, and those were the Mamba, you know, game winners because there's nobody on his team, pulling his shirt, you know, everything that we think of as Kobe was being built during those years when the Lakers didn't have a team. And then you get to 2008 when they go to the finals and lose to the Celtics, where you're like, oh man,
Anything's
Lakers
possible.
Lakers are back because Pau Gasol was an all-star, but besides that, you know, they had a really raw team of guys like Andrew Bynum that had a role but couldn't do anything outside of specifically what we need you for this one thing to do. Guys like, you know, Lamar Odom at the end of his career, who was basically like a second team facilitating forward for them. Kobe put that team on his shoulders. They went to 3 finals, won 2 of them. You know, it takes so much to go to 3 finals in a row in the NBA. It's another season to get to 3 finals.
That's
in
why
a row.
you got to have mad respect for what LeBron did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
want to trash LeBron's finals record, but I'm like, hey,
He's made it to the
I know
most.
I know people like to think that
No, Bill
basketball
Russell.
Oh, okay. Is he still?
Well,
yeah,
he won
yeah,
11,
yeah,
so he
yeah.
had to have been at
I
least
think
11.
was he 11-1? I think. Yeah.
But people like to think that you know, you got guys like Kobe and LeBron and Michael Jordan, and you're like, yeah, it's a one guy team, and it's like, no, it takes more than one guy to win a championship
I mean-
in the NBA. I mean, look what LeBron had
Jordan,
after.
Pippen, and Shaq and Kobe are probably the 2 greatest duos in NBA history.
Yeah,
But there's a huge
In
difference.
either order.
There's a huge difference in there because Shaq and Kobe.
KD had
were
to go to
two-
Golden State to get a title.
Kobe and Shaq were 2 number 1s. Pippen knew when it was Jordan's time, and I'm gonna do everything I can on defense, and I'm gonna get that man the ball, screen him, sit in the corner. You know, which never happened with Kobe and Shaq. They're very different dynamics for a top 2, but they probably are the best 2. You know, maybe besides Steph and KD, which they never really meshed like you think of Kobe and Shaq. You know.
I would say the Splash Brothers over that.
Yeah, the Splash Brothers, which are not as good of a combo.
Greatest 2 players, KD and Steph, are definitely on the short list. I would agree with that.
But they're not on the teammate buddies short list of we
Yeah,
think
it's
of them
Clay
as
and
like
Steph
or
over.
like LeBron and Wade. Those
Yeah.
were guys that were in each other's heads on the court. You know,
yeah.
Shaq and Kobe, whether they got along, they knew how to play with each other. And when it came down to it, I'm gonna yell at you after the game, and we might fight, but we're gonna win the game
It's
first.
the Anchorman thing.
Exactly.
My core, I hate you, but damn it, do I respect you.
That's it, man. And they
And
really
well, it is because I mean, again, Shaq was at the final game
and they
for
were
Kobe.
they were able to bury the hatchet multiple times with each other. You know, just because they're two very hard-headed alpha males.
And again, if you look at the thing, both of them in retirement, they're both funny guys. They're both, likable guys. I don't see how they didn't get along.
Failed rappers.
Extremely hard workers that
They just presented
Probably-
it in such different
And
ways.
they were probably just set in their ways, and they're so stubborn that they couldn't get around that.
Kobe couldn't understand how you can be goofing around doing all this stuff, making a movie called Shazam, and be giving 100%. While Shaq knew, I can do everything and compartmentalize it and schedule myself and still be the best I can be. Where Kobe says, no, you give it all to the one. And if you can't give it all to the one, where is the rest going? And that's where I think that we lost one of the greatest two-man combos in any sport history, is because they were too alike to get past the difference. That's it.
Yeah. Also, you forget the wonderful film Steel that Shaq was in. So
Or Blue Chips.
the good old Nick Nolte. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it too. Of like Shaq being like, you can have fun and still win. Like
Yeah.
and
Kobe saying, fun is the winning is
and
the
I
fun.
think Kobe, that's why how they patched things up. Where Kobe, you could see that he was realizing that there's more to life than basketball, and he kind of had it with his kids. And
Well, I think part of that is, if you look into their backgrounds, we're going around in circles. We'll close it up. We'll close it up.
going
but
on almost another hour of just Kobe talk.
I'll point out that Kobe and Shaq both moved around a lot as children, but for very different reasons. Because Shaq's dad was a decent level military guy to the point where Shaq spent some of his teenage early years in Germany. While his dad was stationed there,
Just crushing kids in German basketball.
actually crushing them in break dancing. That's not a joke. That's
That
not a
makes
joke.
so much sense, though.
That's not a
makes
joke.
so much sense.
Shaquille O'Neal would carry around a piece of cardboard in the 80s. That's not a joke.
Was this in the 30 for 30?
No, that's in his first book that I read. I've read Shaq's first book.
He wrote
'cause
a book?
He's got like 3. Yeah, but Kobe moved around because his dad was in basketball. He grew up in Italy. Kobe could speak 4 languages. He graduated high school in was it Philadelphia or Pennsylvania? It is Philadelphia, right?
Philadelphia is in Pennsylvania.
I know, but I couldn't remember if it was Pennsylvania or
No, I know.
specifically Philadelphia. But and so he was so worldly, but he was so introverted because of it. And I heard something just in the past week. So many interviews with him have come out, and he said, "I didn't make a lot of friends as a kid. It wasn't even because of my attitude. It was because I knew I was going to move. And I knew that basketball would be there at the next place, and that this kid would not be. And I think that it was hard for me to make some friends because of that, and that might have still happened in my professional career. That I know basketball is going to be there next year. You might not be on this team next year, and when you hear that, everything about him clicks and makes sense. To his attitude, his personality, because once he's grounded and comfortable in something, you see him really become more comfortable and open up. And I think he learned that throughout life. There's a lot of things we can learn from Kobe's life arc.
Yeah.
And it ended way too soon.
I think it's his kids. I think having the girls who kind of changed his perspective on things, and it made it you can tell he really loved those kids, and it really changed his life. And one of the people on ESPN, I can't remember her name, she mentioned she had met Kobe one time, and she said she was 8 months pregnant when she met him and wanted to get a picture. And he asked her, he's like, girl or boy? And she's like, oh, it's a girl. And he high-fived her, and he's like, yes, girls are the best. And he's like, and it goes back to the thing. He loved being a dad and being a girl dad. And I was like, man.
I want to end this on
So devastating.
I want to your everything you said, Jake, made me think of this, and I want to end on a local note. I heard a story from Keith Murphy here, Channel 13's news guy, who works with us at iHeart, and he said, "Yeah, I stood by Kobe at Olympic trials one time because his daughter wanted to see Simone Biles because she said she's the best at what she does, and she wanted to go see her, and so Kobe's there with his daughter because his daughter wanted to see this role model, and he would do everything for her." And I said, "Kobe, what are you doing here?" I've never talked to him. I just turned, there's Kobe Bryant. I said, "You're Kobe Bryant. Why are you here?" And he says, "Oh, my daughter wanted to come." So, yeah. And that's just what it was. He was, I think part of him and if I had the money and I had the free time, I would love being the super fun Mr. Mom. Run my kids around and tell them they could be whatever they want to be if they work hard enough.
Why do you think I got into podcasting, man? That was I said if but the podcasting ever takes off, it's perfect because I can be a stay-at-home dad. That's I would love that. Man.
Well,
I'm gonna split this off. We'll have the whole thing up, but I'll split off the Kobe section.
Oh yeah,
because that's almost an hour long in and of itself.
It was some good Kobe talk. Thanks, guys, for, we went down memory lane. We had some good topics today. We're going to have great NFL, Super Bowl recap, XFL game previews for you next week that we'll be going over, along with our Iowa State recap from how they performed over the weekend and our primetime picks that you can compete in with us. If you follow at Twitter at Loud Sports Pod, on Facebook, Loud Sports Podcast, Instagram, at Loud Sports Pod. We do have one of those too.
I never updated, but it's there.
But we have one, yeah. So give us a follow. Thanks for listening. For Jake Williams and Brandon Plecker, this was the Loud Sports Podcast.